Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do a comparison video of these two knives. This here is the James brand Barnes. This here is the Vero Engineering Isotope. These are integral knives, titanium integrals, frame locks. They're very similar in a few ways, different in others. And I just thought this would be a really interesting comparison video. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that both of these will probably be gone within a week. I've already sold this one to my good buddy Joe, the Knife Whisperer. And it's basically because it's a thumb stud only knife. I'm just not the biggest fan of thumb stud only. It eventually just gets boring or annoying to me because as a lefty, I somehow catch my finger and I don't deploy it sometimes, and closing the knife can be an issue for me because I will do this and bring it down with too much force and then maybe cut myself. It's just, I don't know. Thumb stud only knives are not exactly my bag, but that doesn't have any issue with the knife, right? And then this guy, I'm having the same issue that happens frequently with Veros. The clip just does not have enough clearance, and I basically just can't carry it, so I can't really keep it around. That's usually what happens with Veros, at least up until now. They did fix the clip a little bit here, but you could see right there. I mean, the clearance, you have to literally shove it into your pocket. It does come out actually relatively easily, but it's just kind of a killer for me, sadly. It does not seem to be an issue on the Synapse XL or Synapse Gen 2. So my Gen 2 will be sticking around. I love that knife. But this one will be going after I do this video and the review, and that will be that. Now, again, doesn't really reflect poorly on the knives, maybe a little bit with the clip on this one, but it's, of course, personal kind of subjective preference, I guess. Some people love the clips on these. A lot of people love thumb stud only, so I'm going to try to rip through some details. I'm doing this off the cuff. Usually I do, I think I call it blade battles or something like that. I've only done one, but I didn't want to script it. I just wanted, not script it, but I didn't want to write a list of things and then go over it. I don't know, I just tend not to have as much fun doing that. So let's just take an overview of each knife and then we can get into it. This is the James brand Barnes. This knife is $600 retail. I used a easy to get coupon, welcome 10, when you go to James brand's website, and I got it for $536. I then paid an extra $15 for 2-day shipping, which took 3 days, and I paid $550 total. But you could probably get it for $536. This is the black anodized titanium model with silver accents or plain titanium accents. They have a plain titanium scale and green thumb stud version that was sold out when I bought this, so I got the black one. There's also a micarta inlaid version that looks pretty cool, inlay on the back here. That is a Blade HQ exclusive, I believe, and may cost a little bit more. And it is M390. Again, thumb stud only. Has this really, really cool micro milling. Kind of looks like a frog. Bead blast down here. Satin flats. James brand there. Logo there. That is your only branding. You have a little bit of a marking here. says M390 and some kind of code that must be, I don't know, model number or serial number. Again, it's an integral. This one has one little mark right here, came from factory with that, otherwise it's pristine. Comes with the lanyard that's kind of like a shoelace. It goes through here and then ties up here. I just untied it, took it off. Cool thing about this one, the clip is mounted from in here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a screw there. That goes into the clip, the way they milled it, so that way you don't have a screw on the outside of the body. It being an integral, you can't just go through the other side or whatever, you know. So I think that's a relatively good overview of this knife. Disassembly on this was not possible easily for me. This side is actually a T6. This is a T8. This is the side that came out for some reason. This side would not. Again, not easily. Probably would need a soldering iron or something. I tried using 2 Torx wrenches, but it just kept threading that one out. The way you would disassemble this is to take this screw out, take off this little heart-shaped thingy or triangle thing. Then you can get the bearings out, the stop pin out, and then ultimately just pull the blade out, right? Very similar to this. We'll go over that in a second. So that is the James brand Barnes. This is the Vero Engineering Isotope. This one here, in terms of materials, you have end cut carbon fiber and this stonewashed titanium that I've said before. It kind of feels like it got dragged behind a bus the way it was done. It just has some very obvious kind of marks and dings and scratches. This one's better than the first one I had, but you can see like it just doesn't seem even. Look at the edges, like right here, it looks kind of like it got really beat up there, but not there. I don't know, it's just weird to me the way it was stonewashed. And then you have, for me, you have this hand satin blade, which looks absolutely gorgeous, especially with the lines of the carbon fiber there. This is going to be a bigger knife. I guess I should have mentioned that's 3.5 inches, I believe. This is like 3.7, I guess, 3.75. Yeah, so on this one, you just have the Vero on the clip there. And I think that's it. And you have the numbering. This is number 273 here. Oh, and Vero up there on the spine. Again, an integral. This one comes with a V slot, so you can do a right-handed Spidey flick. Right hand only on that. It also has a flipper. It's a little different than a normal Vero flipper. I feel like a normal Vero flipper is a little shorter. It's more squared off here. The angle's a little different, but it basically functions the same way. Detent, it seems a little light on this guy, but I guess that's partially because of the way you flip a Vero, and you have that V slot for middle finger flicking. Trying to think. They're both frame locks. You can see the clip is mounted straight through on this one instead of inside. And there's obviously an inlay on this one instead of just the titanium with the micro milling. I guess we'll get into all of that a little bit more. I think I mentioned the clip. It is a bit of an issue. So that is an overview of both. Oh, this comes in black end cut, red end cut, and then a marbled carbon fiber. There was a micarta variant available, but I believe they had an issue with fitment, and they ended up switching those to marbled carbon fiber, or you could switch to one of the end cuts if you wanted to. And then you have the option of a hand satin blade like this. It's absolutely gorgeous. This clip point blade as well is gorgeous. You can get a stonewash blade or a belt satin. So cool kind of variants there. I think on this one, had I been able to do it over, I might have went stonewash just because of how that stonewash looks on the scales. it might have matched a little better, but I just don't like stonewash as much as I like a satin. And a hand satin is gorgeous. I thought this would be like the fanciest Vero, the nicest polished one. So I went with hand satin, not knowing how that stonewash was going to come out, right? So let's get into this, guys. I'm just going to kind of go through my normal review process. I'll add some things in. Excuse me. And we'll kind of see how this goes. So first off, materials, right? We're working with very similar materials. This has the inlay of carbon fiber, of course, but it's a titanium integral with M390 steel. This is a titanium integral with M390 steel. And I would probably argue this micro milling and everything might be a little more difficult to pull off than this inlay. But I don't know. I'd say the materials are very, very even on this. Oh, I didn't go over price on this guy. This version, end cut with hand satin, was $490. Okay, I think they started at $450. It might have been $470. Right around there. If you got the basic stonewash with just, you know, end cut or micarta, I guess it was at the time. And then the CF was probably a little more. The hand satin was a little more. Belt satin a little less than that. You know how it goes. This guy, I said, was $5.99, but with the coupon was $5.36. Anybody, I would assume, can use that coupon. So I'm just going to call it $5.36. If you don't like that, sorry, you can just adjust it in your head. But so the two I have here are very similar. Then you have a very nice belt satin / bead blast on the M390 there. This obviously has that hand satin. I would definitely give the edge to the hand satin in terms of the blade finish. Overall, in terms of materials, I think they're pretty much dead even. Price, you're talking about $50 more, call it, right? $490, $536. I'll put a little wiggle room in there. $50 more for this guy. Now, if you want to go crazy and say the base was $450, this is really $600. Yeah, you're looking at a $150 difference there. That's something you can consider. For me, in what I actually paid, it was about $46 different. No, it was $46 different, right? So, there is that to consider for myself personally. Obviously, there's a bit of a size difference. The Vero is substantially larger. It's more dramatic than I thought, actually, now that they are sitting here. I will say, for me personally, this James brand size is a little bit better. I have plenty of room. I still have some sticking out. I have full control of this 3.5-inch blade. On the Vero, when I'm back here, that blade is going way out here. I have less control, at least perceived. If I choke up like this, I do have relatively good control. I personally don't like a huge blade. 3.5 is basically my preferred like limit. You'll see a lot of knives I have are 3.5 inches, but that is another thing to consider. I don't think I would give points or anything for, I wouldn't give points for the size, right? And if we want, I can kind of mark down what we talk about and just put check marks. So like materials, 1, 1, right? We'll do JB and Vero. So 1, 1, price. So I'm going to put it as price, Vero 1, JB 0. But then I'm going to switch to value, right? Because that's a difference. This is made by Riot. And that's going to... it's such a hard thing to explain. The quality of craftsmanship that went into this. Look at that micro milling. The finish work. just all these corners that are perfectly rounded. The way it almost looks like a lighter, you know, look at that. It's incredible, guys. Look inside of this thing. There's like this rainbow looking anodization. The clip is held in from the inside. I just think that extra $46 went a long way on this guy. And I'm not saying this is not well made. I mean, look at it. It is very well made, you know, but it still has those finicky Best Tech / Vero things where you have to balance your action with blade play and centering, and you got to do all that stuff, right? We talked about this stone washing already. I talked about having the one with the nicks in the blade or on the spine, having lock stick. I've had a couple other people tell me they have lock stick. And just not having a clip that is proper. I understand that maybe that's Vero and not Best Tech. But you'd think they would just be like, hey man, we can increase the clearance and just make this clip work instead of not. You want us to do that? Oh yeah, sure. You know, like, I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Pivots tend to walk on their knives. I can't attest to it on this one, but it's the same design. So that money goes a long way for me. Now, I don't want to say that it is a value price, but between the two, perceived value, like, I don't know what to call it. I'll call it perceived value, you know, in comparison to the other one. That's the only way I can put this. I'm giving it to the JB. I don't care if I made up a category for that. Whatever. You guys get my point. We could just basically call it Riot versus Best Tech. Riot wins that every day. Call me a fanboy. I don't give a shit. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that, guys. So next up, let us talk about ergos. So on this Vero, when it's in this back grip, it's pretty comfortable, actually. Initially unboxing it, I didn't think it was that comfortable, but it's actually pretty good. I like it back here. I like it back here. Now, in relation to the cutting edge, it's not so great, but I don't think I can add that into ergos. When I'm choked up here, it's actually a little awkward, I've found. Because of how this cutout is so big, it's like this finger just goes too deep, and then, like, it just feels a little awkward. It doesn't feel like a choil. Like, all his other designs so far, that flat has felt really comfortable going up on it. This one doesn't have that, and the size of the knife does not lend itself to that. Now, right-handed, I can't really speak to it. I'm left-handed. This does feel a lot better than the others because it doesn't have that hot spot. They plateaued the clip at the end there. So that's something to consider. This knife here is very comfortable. There's only the one grip. You don't have a choke up point, but you don't need it. This jimping is very light, very minimal, almost non-existent. You have this really good big thumb studs. It's like a ramp. It feels really good in your hand. Basically melts. Clip does not interfere at all. So I am going to have to give this one to the JB. Ergos. JB. I'm just going to write these down. Cutting, carry, sounds. We did value, and we did materials, so we're closing in. I just need to make sure. Yep, okay. So, all right, let's get into cutting. So, I'll be 100% honest. I have not used either of these very extensively. They both have very good grinds on them. This is a flat grind. It's done extremely well. You can see Best Tech did a fantastic job on this guy. I see no issues with this edge in any way. It's actually relatively thin. I will say, compared to other Veros, this seems really thin. Some of the other ones I have seem a bit thick behind the edge, to be honest. They cut great, but this is very, very well done. So cutting on this guy is going to be really good. All I did was cut some paper with each of these. And I opened a package or two with the Barnes. So I'm not going to sit here and act like, I'm the expert on how these cut. Now, I will say Riot, 9 times out of 10, is going to give you a better blade grind, a thinner behind the edge, just a better done blade, This, I believe, is also a flat grind, unless it's a really shallow hollow. Riot can do that. It is also thin behind the edge. I see no issues. Both just feel incredible. This one did cut very well when I was opening a package, and the paper, same with the Vero. They're similar blade shapes. I don't feel comfortable giving anybody a win on this. I'd lean towards Riot, James brand, but I can't do that. So I'm not gonna just, subjectively make a choice here. So I'm going to give them each a point in that category. I should just give neither a point, but it doesn't really make a difference. Carry, guys, this one's an absolute knockout punch. James brand, this thing carries like a freaking dream. It's basically deep carry. I mean, you have like nothing sticking out. It goes in your pocket, out of your pocket like a dream. One of the great things about this knife is that micro milling, and then they added this patch right here, that smooth patch underneath the clip, and it really works, guys. This has been a dream to carry the last couple days. Not so much, guys. I got the new one in, and I was like, oh, hopefully that first one I had was just, a lemon with everything. But look at it. I mean, you can tell right off the bat, like, there's no clearance under here. So basically what happens with these is they have this ramp. So it's kind of, it goes in your pocket, it gets over that lip, and then it gets to about here, and it just stops dead. And then you have to, really push it and pop it in. And it's really annoying. And I will say, coming out, it kind of just popped out pretty easy. But I don't want to have to use 2 hands to get a knife in my pocket, because you don't want to just push your pocket down. You end up like pushing your pants down, or you got to hold it and then pop it in. It's just annoying. And to be quite frank, it has been an issue since the first impulse. And people have mentioned it since then. And we thought we were getting a fixed clip on this knife, and we were all excited for that. And we just didn't get it. They fixed this part, which is great. That never affected me being left-handed. This was always my issue. My axon, my impulse, my mini impulse. So it's just a huge, huge win by the James brand on this one, guys. There's no, doubt about that. So that's carry. Sounds. So again, integrals are interesting. They either sound really good, or they are very muffled, because it's it's an integral. It's one piece cut out, right? So here we go. Very dull. No sounds, really. This would be like a 2 or a 3 on my, out of 10 scale. Here is the James brand. So, not very good either, right? But this would be like a 4 on my scale, right? Like a 4 or a 5 maybe, just like middle of the road. Does have a good clack when it comes out, and it does kind of thud in, but it's kind of muffled, right? So I'd say it'd be a 4 or a 5. So that being said, 4 or 5, 2 or 3, well, James Brand wins that one. All right, aesthetics. So, aesthetics, I gotta write that down. And I'm well aware, guys, I'm just fucking fumbling through this, so don't worry. I know. You don't need to tell me in the comments. Vero, Joseph has a knack for making a piece that I want to just sit here and do this. And I just want to stare at it. And I could do this all day. The mini impulse I had, I would just look at it. The Synapse Gen 2 I have, just sit there and look at it while I'm playing with it, and then I just kind of go like this, like, ooh, nice. Guys, this one is really no exception. I love the lines. I love the clip point blade. It's just different this time. I do love his Tanto designs the best, but I like this over the drop point. The fact that it's an integral, that red end cut CF, I've heard if you put some mineral oil in here, it looks even nicer. It's just a good looking knife. And then you have this side with the V slot, gives you a little something to look at. I mean, there's no doubting that Joseph has a knack for an aesthetically beautiful knife. The Barnes, I guess I'll start with it closed. I really like how this looks. I actually love how this looks closed with all these rounded corners and all that good stuff. The clip. When it's open, not so much. I love the handle. Love that micro milling, guys. That's almost a saving grace on this. But the blade, I don't know. It's just kind of a weird blade. Maybe a Tanto would have been cool. Something a little taller would have been cool. And then the thumb studs make it look like a frog or a lizard. Just doesn't work for me. Love it like this. Love that micro milling, but that one has to go to Vero. Fit and finish. So, materials is one thing. They tie on that. Fit and finish is a whole nother thing. And that's where you get into that stonewashing. The way the clip is screwed in. Just the overall complete fit and finish. The chamfering on the edges. These are still kind of like sharp corners right here. I can feel my skin coming off a little bit there. The inlay, while very, very good, I can feel transitions, a little bit of a bump there. Again, none of this is dramatic. This is a very well-made knife, guys. It's a $490 knife, and I'd say it probably is finished, other than that stonewashing, like a $490 knife, right? But this is on another level, guys. And I just sound like a broken record about Riot. Guys, I wish so much that Joseph would switch to Riot. Oh my God, it would be so amazing. But look at that micro milling, guys. Look at that pattern. It's absolutely stunning. The way the clip is mounted from the inside, and that lanyard goes from here to here, which, yeah, I know, without the lanyard, it looks a little bit weird, but you could have the lanyard on there. The clip, the way that pad is engineered, they both have the same kind of disassembly method, although I will mark that this one was easier to take apart because it uses a D-shaped pivot instead of a T6 here and a T8. That is one negative on this one. I don't know if that's fit and finish, but just the rounding, the chamfering, you just don't feel anything. Look at those rounded edges. I mean, that's just incredible to me. I don't know if it is incredible or not, but to me it is. You know, just the way they do the two kind of finished blade. Look at that edge shine. Yeah, guys, it's just Riot, you know, and then the action. So it's just, it's, you know, Riot wins. Again, guys, this is, as much as this is a battle between Vero and James Brand Integrals, it's more of a battle between Riot and Best Tech Integrals, right? Okay, so I think this is going to be the last one. Action. All right, so this is difficult. So, on this guy, D10. Money, money, money. Look at that. Both of these have been tuned by me at this point. When I got this one, the second one, I tuned it up. So, and this one I tuned up during my first impressions. So they've both been tuned by me. There's absolutely no blade play on either of them. You'll see here, this one just has this controlled drop shut. It might need a little, maybe not. You just got to move your wrist a little, turn the blade, and it's going to drop. Detent, again, good. Lefty, boom. That's going to come back in a second. Okay. The Vero. Right-handed. Ooh, yeah. I love a flipper, guys. You guys know I like flipper over thumb stud, right? Good action on that. So, yeah. I mean, I love a good flipper. I've noticed that on this guy right here, left-handed, okay? And again, this is subjective, guys. The action is pretty good after I tuned it. We have no play, so that's key. It's, you know, I have to give it a couple little shimmies and it's going down, right? They're very similar. The drop is a little better on that one. I'm sure if I messed with it enough, I could get this one to be like that. So I'm not going to kind of give that, you know, either way. Let me see if there's any. No lock rock. That's good. I haven't checked it on this specific one. Now, this is where things are going to get a little complicated. You have the V slot. So you can do a right-handed flick there. Problem is, I'm not right-handed. So I'm left with just this flipper tab and this lock bar that takes up a lot of that scale, right? So I have to end up over here to do a flip. It's not impossible. It's just not convenient, you know? It's kind of annoying to have to move around, and then I feel like I'm losing the knife a little bit. Again, it's not the end of the world, but it's not, you know, great either. You can thumb flick it as a lefty. You know, you just got to give it a little bit of gas. The D10 on this is just a bit weaker than it is on the James brand. I can fail it, you know. And then one other thing left-handed that you notice is the detent ball ramp. While there, it's sort of in a place where you don't pass it that easily. Not easily, that quickly. Like, the place where the detent ball pops over, it seems to be higher, like it's right about here, right? And it's very smooth and everything, but if you do this, you're not getting that blade to drop without a little bit of shaking. Now, right-handed, you don't care because you just do that, right? So you guys have to keep that in mind. With this guy, when I go to close it, I push over, take the thumb stud, go to there, and it starts dropping already. The break point is much, much sooner on that. You see that? It's right there. So it basically instantly is past that detent. And now, most importantly, I can Spidey flick this left-handed. I can thumb flick it just like I can that, but a lot easier. And I can Spidey flick it. And I don't have lock bar issues. So being that I have two methods for each knife, as a lefty, I have a flipper and I have a thumb flick. That's not that great. The flipper's fine, but lock bar problem, right? So for a lefty, which one's more enjoyable? This is. And I find it weird saying that because I'm not a thumb set guy. And honestly, because of the size and form factor of everything, this just, even right-handed to me, feels more enjoyable. Like I'm having a better time doing this than I am doing this. Like, I don't know, it's just something about it is more enjoyable. Again, subjective as hell. James Brand wins. 1-0. So I thought this was going to be an absolute freaking stomping. I really thought, and I know a lot of people are going to be surprised, I thought the James Brand was going to just whoop the Vero's ass. I thought this thing was going to get KO'd out the window. That didn't happen. It stayed in the fight. And I think, here's what I want to say. If these were both made by Riot, I think this story would be different. I do think overall design and all that stuff, they would have been very close, and maybe the Barnes still wins. But it would have been a lot closer because you would have had the stonewashing would have been a lot different, probably. The detent would be a little bit different. The clip would probably work, but I can't call that best tech. That's Vero. You know, I just think if it was Riot made, it would have stayed in the fight longer. I think it still would have ultimately lost because of aspects of it, which partially are me being left-handed and things like that. And partially just, guys, James Brand killed it with this design. I mean, they really designed a great knife here. It's just, yeah, I mean, I hate to say that because Vero is, the way he goes about his social media, his marketing, his personality, the way the company is run, I appreciate so much more than how James Brand does it. And you guys know that from my unboxing of anything Vero. Any video I do of Vero, it's positive about Vero, whether the knife is or not. And my unboxing of the James Brand, I ranted on and on about how I hate how they do their marketing, right? But the design is what we're talking about. The knife itself, the end product is what we're talking about, not the company. And James Brand just outslugged Vero with the Battle of the Integrals. That's the name of this video. Battle of the Integrals. And I also think I learned something from buying both of these knives. I think I learned that I don't like integrals that much. They add weight because they're just milled out titanium. You can't really get in there and mill out a lot of it, so they're heavier. They tend to not have the best type of action. Now, Riot, again, did a great job with this one, but all the CKF integrals I've had, action was kind of weak, detent sucked. There just seems to be inherent problems with integrals that don't outweigh the coolness of it. You know, and then they're way more expensive, and that hurts a lot too. I'd rather have it just be scales and a backspacer and have the same design. I don't know. A lot of this cool stuff right here would be gone, so I get it. But ultimately, in the end, am I keeping either of these? No, doesn't look like it. So I don't know what that tells you, but let me tally these up. So for the Vero, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 points. And for the Barnes, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points. So it was still a whooping. You He still doubled them up, but I think it was closer. In my mind, it was going to be an absolute beatdown. And again, not because I have anything against Vero. I love Joseph, guys. My brief interactions with him when I chat with him are really positive. He's a really cool dude. He's been very supportive of the channel. He sent me that giveaway pack for my 1K giveaway. That's 10 times more than I can say about James Brand. I messaged them about this knife asking if they could give me any sort of a discount towards it or anything for reviewing it on the channel. I wasn't trying to get a free one. I was just touching base. I'm going to get this knife to review. Maybe you'd like to offer some kind of a discount. That would be helpful. Blah, blah, blah. Never got, to this day, never got a response. I posted this knife on Instagram and said, it's incredible. It hurts so much to say that, barf face. And they commented on that, but they never actually responded to me. So, I mean, at this point, they probably don't want to because if they've seen my video or anything, but Joseph always replies. He's always there to help if you have issues. I had the issues with this first model. He took care of it. This is the new one. He sent it to me. I got it in like 2 or 3 days. He sent it before I even sent the other one back. He QC checked this one probably with a microscope. And it's perfect. This one's perfectly fine. It's good. So I just don't want this to get mistaken as like I don't like Vero and I like James Brand, because that's complete opposite of how I feel. But end product, James Brand wins. And part of its design and my subjective opinion, and a good part of it is Riot Bestech. And again, I don't hate Bestech. I think they do good work. But in this class of knife, we're talking about $500. I just think I'd always go with Riot. And that's just kind of how I feel, guys. I absolutely love you. I appreciate you getting through this video with me. Let me know if there's any other comparisons you'd like to see of things I have. There was one I just thought of. I wanted to do the Evo 2.0 versus the Slim Midi. I think that would be a fun one. But let me know if there's anything you think I could change. I know I'm just kind of, getting through this and I'm winging it, but that's how I roll. So people have probably figured out by now whether I'm their cup of tea or not. I absolutely love Joseph Vero. I just want that clip to be fixed, man. It's just a little bit frustrating, that we're here, 5 or 6 knives in and we're still not able to shove a clip in our pocket. And this knife is going to have to go because of that single fact. And it also is a little big for me and a little bit too right-handed. So I'm not being totally honest there when I say it's just the clip. This model just didn't turn out to be my cup of tea. And neither did this, even though I love it. I objectively, is that a way of saying that? I love this knife. It's so cool. I just am not a thumb stud guy in the end. And I need some cash. Need some cash for Blade Show. So I absolutely love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic day. And I will catch you later.